So like with your online, or just I guess maybe with this concept of like experience equals the brand. Like what are ways like that you kind of control for the experience? How do you think about experience and what that means?
Yeah, that's a good question. So you said it as well. So it really you have to marry together the digital and the brick and mortar. This is like always important because people start always digital somehow, and then this experience, this frictionless and nice experience, has to continue in the store, right? So we really make sure that happens, and we train our staff like that, and we show our staff as well how to. I mean, we do staff trainings beyond, you can say, like the traditional is just people like working in a store. They have to understand the importance of this experience and how you really bridge the digital to brick and mortar and to the real experience in the store. So we have like concepts now for retail. We're looking already post pandemic now. We've been looking all the post pandemic where we want to expand. I call it the retail scene more than just a retail store, because in COVID we had like really like we had to make it as easy as possible. No touch points. You don't want to go in the store. Best would be a curbside pickup or even drive through. So you don't have to talk to people because of the pandemic. But now I think the opposite will happen. Now it's like we're even introducing products into our stores which are outside cannabis. Like we're launching like an old candle brand. We have a collaboration with Colin Hanks, Tom Hanks' son, on his bandana brand. The handkerchiefs is kind of coming out. Hankskerchiefs they're called. And so we launched that in our stores, and it shows you. I'm sure you know the store concept of Fred Siegel. I could compare it.
Sure.
Fred Siegel,
Yeah,
where
no
you
way.
partner up with smaller brands really before they explode, and you give them a platform to be seen in retail stores. And for example, with Colin, he only sells online so far. So we're the first basically real store who is carrying his product, and that's we're very proud of that. And he is as well, like he's not even a consumer, imagine. So he's not like, oh, he's a weed head or something. He doesn't smoke, but he just likes the concept because where he created his fashion is he feels a fit in look and feel how we create our stores. And our stores, I'm sure you've seen them on the website, and if you have not been at one, but they're very much like could compare it with a Starbucks concept. It's with those dark woods and like brushed metal, LED lighting, always inspired by the environment, like where it's located, if it's Santa Barbara or if it's like in Saji, Illinois, an industrial area. So we always try to feature the environment as well in art pieces in the dispensaries. So make that really like authentic and relevant. So that's ticks a couple of the points what you're asking. So we always have to make sure this is real, this is relevant, and there's stuff in there and people in there who know what they're talking about, representing the brand in the right way. And I always say, so keep everything clean. That's like when you read Anthony Bourdain's book, Kitchen Confidential. The first thing when you go to a restaurant, you go to the toilet and see if it's clean, because the toilet is a representation of how the kitchen looks. So that's one of my things I always say. So clean and super kind. I mean, you could even have a rundown store, in my opinion, and you have like really good people in there, and the people will be, oh wow, this was a great experience. It was nice people there. Doesn't matter, it doesn't look so good, but it was nice. It was nice people. Right. So that's super important. But if you have both, and that's what we're trying to achieve, and even like adding other new things to it, like possibly even not, I don't want to even call it consumption lounges, but maybe like in the future there could be a kind of a cafe situation where you're outside, you go there, you meet like-minded people. You not necessarily have to consume, you just have a coffee outside and like talk to people and get together. So that's what I call the retail scene, what we're trying to create, and take away the cannabis out of cannabis retail kind of, and make it like a normal shopping experience, because obviously we have to educate everybody like that this is actually now happening, and it's actually a great product. It's great for our patients, for our customers, and we have a lot of in the medical markets, of course, a lot of amazing stories how people are healed by the plant. Really, there's an alternative medicine, really. So that's very important, and of course, you have a big responsibility doing that. It's making kind of all of us together, Saivi, writing kind of history, and that's what I'm so excited about in this being in this business now.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm hoping to capture with conversations like that. This is like the history. We're really paving the way, and you guys are on the front lines with the consumer there, with the retail stores and your brands. And as you were explaining some of that, and like the Hank's kerchiefs, it's the first I'd heard of it. I love it. Yeah, I love it.
Great.
Writes itself. Those brands you mentioned, it's direct to consumer, right? So this is a first time kind of exposure in maybe a traditional retail.
Yeah,
as much
exactly.
as Bionello is a traditional retailer. But what's so fascinating to me for organizations like Jushi is like you guys have to have experience on both sides. You see a lot of brands that start direct to consumer and that have moved to brick and mortar. Mm-hmm. Brands like Allbirds shoes or Warby Parker glasses, where it was started as online only, right? And building that user experience in a digital format and then trying to translate that into brick and mortar where I feel like it's coincided in a lot of ways with Jushi. It's kind of both at the same time. You have to think about the online experience at the same time you're thinking about the in-person experience and bringing those things together. And I think it's quite interesting about our category that we're in that there is opportunities to do that because it can be pretty rare, especially when you're selling other brands other than yourself. Like at Warby Parker, they're only selling Warby Parker glasses, right? At Allbirds, you can't buy a pair of Nikes. But as you move into different markets, different dynamics, and all the fragmentation, you're going to be selling brands like even Colin Hank's brand that's not a direct Jushi brand in your store, so you're merchandising that. So.
Yeah, exactly. It's totally separate, but we're like we're finding those we're trying to find smaller companies like really gems and this is part of a responsibility I think you have as well, like to work with companies which are smaller and just starting instead of like, okay, I'm going to order my candles in China or something. So our candle brand, for example, so I went to Joshua Tree and met this small candle company, and they have just beautiful product. They're not even out here. They're all online as well, as you said, like now and I said we have to do our own scent. So we went to the desert, we went to their factory, we created our own Beyond Hello scent together with them. And then we've started a whole line with them, and it's a beautiful collaboration. It's like they husband and wife team. They packaging, they make them, they're sending them, and I think on 420 we had like probably the biggest order in their careers. Like when we ordered like for our boxes, for our special 420 boxes, we had put a candle in each box. So that was like I think. Ordered like 1,500 candles or something only for Illinois stores. So it was super fun and it's going out there, and I hear even back the funny thing is this goes beyond even like retail. When we I don't know if you heard probably like the world calls we're like a preferred buyer at this point. People like when we buy them, like we hear that like they're very choosy, like places like Massachusetts. So I spoke to the owners. They have many offers from different groups, but they obviously this is their baby, and they want to have a great future for their baby. So one thing I heard that people like said, okay, when I looked at your stores and I looked at your attention to detail and your concepts with your scent and your candles, I mean, we're not in the candle business, but came up with the candles, not with the weed. That made a difference, right? There's like, oh wow, this guy's thinking already beyond the situation we're in now. I mean, federal legalization. I mean, those stores really become normal and a normal place to hang out, which they're not now, but we will get there.
Thanks for joining CPG, the Cannabis Packaged Goods Podcast. For more information on Headset, visit headset.io.